Is Craig gonna die? What's next for Xander? Welcome back. This is Sean's Take on Things. My name is Sean Redmond. Today my take is on Orphan Black Echoes, episode 9. This is your spoiler warning. From here on out, I'll assume you've seen the episode or don't care if I spoil it. I will also use clips from the show, as is allowed under the fair use provision of the copyright laws of 1976. Now, I'm going to go through this episode a little differently than the others. Instead of doing a breakdown all the way through, I'm going to zip through storylines. So Craig, we open with the memory of the suicide of Eleanor's dad. And she goes in, she sees that he is dying. She sees him shake his head that he doesn't want help. She runs out into the hall. She's about to call 911 and then doesn't. And turns on a song. I don't know if it matters, but the song is called Novocaine Stain by Modest Mouse. Novocaine is, of course, a numbing agent. Helps you feel no pain. Take that as thou wilt. So I think that's important. And that's the guilt that all of the printouts of Eleanor has, that they feel responsible, that they should have done something. They did something wrong because they didn't call 911. But that's probably the right thing. That's what he wanted, is no help. Anyway, so we left Craig lying bleeding on the floor and Xander had run out. We see that whole sort of moment again in a little more detail when Xander picks up the nasal spray drug thing, takes the key out of Lucy's jacket and leaves. When I say key, I mean the Apple iWatch with the symbols on it. So Craig is shot, refuses to go to the hospital. They take him back to his room in the halfway house, whatever it is. He asked for whiskey. So there's a lot that goes on here. He can't go to the hospital, and he finally admits to Lucy, something he hasn't admitted to anybody else, and that he was a radical. There's a warrant out for his arrest. He was a getaway driver for a thing that went wrong and somebody died. So he can't go to the hospital or the police will be called. We get Jack to help with the bullet wound. He's lost a lot of blood. Luckily, Lucy is O negative, which is a universal donor, so she can give him blood. He admits to Lucy that he's never had family because he knew he could be arrested and taken away at any time, but that he looked at her as family, and her success in becoming her own person was the thing that he was most proud of. And that's when Jack gets the call about Charlie, but we'll come back to that. The thing that stood out to me in this episode, and I didn't notice it in any of the episodes up till now, so if they did it really well. And this episode is brought to you by the color amber and blue. Amber representing family and warmth, and blue, the cold, stark reality of everything that's not family. And if you go back and you watch this episode, and I'll point it out in some of these clips, like when Craig is telling Lucy, every time we see Craig, he is bathed in a warm amber light. And a lot of times when we see Lucy, we see that warmth from him on her face, but behind her is blue, right? The cold's not far. And it's throughout this entire episode. We had a very happy cameo in this episode. We had Aunt Delphine show up. Felix called Delphine. Delphine. So the fact that we got Felix and Delphine suggests to me, at least, that this show really wanted to tie to Orphan Black more than they could. Whoop. And hopefully, if we get a season 2, we'll get a Sarah or Cosima cameo of at least one or two of the clones. Maybe Tatiana wanted to see if they were going to do a good show or not. But let's get back to this one. So it's interesting that Jack kind of realizes that Lucy is putting everything ahead of them, Jack and Charlie. Charlie keeps telling Jack that he has to help. And so I'm not sure how that's all going to work out. And of course, the end of this episode, like I said, we're not going in order. So Tom is not listening to his boss's orders and is still investigating Lucy, ends up at the house. Why can't I think of her name? Tina. That's it. Tom ends up at Tina's. Tina does beat the snot out of him, except that he has a syringe of whatever it is and injects her with it, and she goes out. So he captures Charlie, and that's the last thing that happens. Is Tom calls Jack and lets him know that he's got Charlie. That's where we leave the episode. So let's rewind a little bit. So Delphine shows up, is going to help for a little bit, and then they get a hold of Neva, Jules's stepmom or adopted mom, and they go to the office and get in, and they're checking Delphine's doing her investigative thing, and that's one of those scenes where everything on the right side of the screen where Delphine is amber and warm, and everything on the left side of the screen where Kira is blue and cold. It was really done well, and this whole episode is that it's between the warmth and the cold. And if you go back and watch it, it's really, really well done. There was one scene I didn't make a note, but it struck me when it happened, when Eleanor got the phone call in the car, and it was amber on one side and blue on the other. She got the call and said, "We're coming." And when the camera cut to show them both, they were both in the amber light, right? So they were at odds until they were together. So that's all good directing stuff, and that's what helps these episodes sort of bring us along, give us feeling about things, without beating us over the head with stuff. That's the lighting director and the director doing their job. Jules and Eleanor had a really nice conversation in the kitchen when Jules sees Eleanor taking the serum in her tea, and she has a moment where she says, "I never had family." Jules says to Eleanor, "Lucas is lucky. You're a good mom. I don't want to hug or anything," which of course means, "Please hug me." And Eleanor does. It's a very nice moment between the two of them. Kira and Delphine do find that Darros's business spent 40-some billion dollars on a very small property on the waterfront with no dividends, no income, no anything. They just bought it. And so Kira goes to look at it. Delphine goes home to Cosima. End of cameo. And in the little fishing shack, bait shop, I'm not sure. I think there's a bait shop sign, but it looks like it's a fishing shack. There's a thing on the wall that the iWatch goes in. It matches the symbols and then looks for the multi-factor authentication, which is a thought in Darros's mind. So they need Xander to be that. So they call, get Xander down. He stands in the spot and has the right thought. And it's a thought of one of his predecessors, an incomplete printout that didn't survive, and Darros's complete lack of empathy. So we're really building for Xander to be, if not on the printout side, again, he is against Darros. So what it looks like is the fishing shack, whatever, is the entry room to a server farm that's in the water. And Jules says, "Oh, they put the server farms underwater because the water keeps everything cool. You don't have to spend all your money on coolant and air conditioning." So they get the thing and they look at it, and it's apparently all the medical records of everybody in the country. And so they look at the last things that Darros accessed, and it was 12 files that amount to scans. And so Kira hits print on the thing, and it spits out a little cylinder, which I assume is like a USB drive and has all the data of whatever that was. Certainly wasn't a printout. But they take it, and that's when we cut back and find out that Tom kidnapped Charlie. End of the episode. So while a lot didn't happen in this episode, what happened was important. I'm a little worried for Craig. Usually those admissions of family and, secrets and things is usually when you're done. So we have one more episode left. and then we get to worry about whether or not we're getting season 2. All of these actors in this, like, this was a Christian Ritter really good episode. She had some great moments while Craig was talking to her. And Jules has really come along too, with her emotion talking to Eleanor. I can't wait to watch the last one. I'm digging it. I'm really happy I caught the director using color to, I don't know if that's going to matter in the last episode, the amber and blue. But that's really it. Of course, we're going to have to go rescue or attempt to rescue Charlie. We're going to have to figure out who the 12 files were that Daros was looking at. I wonder if that's going to be my answer. I don't know if you remember several episodes ago, I said there's somebody that we don't realize is a printout. And I wonder if those 12 are going to reveal that that's true or who they are. I mean, it could be one of those things where we're on a cliffhanger where we know that it is, but not who it is or something. So tell me what you're thinking in the comments. Tell me what other shows you're going to start watching. Yeah, let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. But that's it for this episode. I'll see you for the season finale. I'm going to do the season finale, and then I'm going to do a different kind of series wrap-up and just talk about the whole thing for a bit in a final season wrap-up episode. But for now, this is Sean's Take. I am Sean. See you next time.